everybody. In this example video, I'm going to go over brief exercise 621. So chapter 6 is all about process costing. So different from what we did in chapter 4 with job order costing, where every job was unique, in process costing we are creating a product. It's a homogeneous product and it has to go through several steps or several different processes to be completed. So we need to make sure that we're accumulating those costs as they leave one department and move to the next department. So in this case, it tells us that our company produces 18-ounce boxes of wheat cereal, and it has to go through 3 different departments. So there's mixing, cooking, and packaging. And then it says during the period they produced 250,000 boxes with the following costs. So the key difference that you're going to see in this chapter from what we did in chapter 4 in terms of journalizing is that every department is going to have its own work in process account. We just had one that we dealt with in job order costing. Because it can leave mixing and be done in the mixing department, it's no longer needing to be completed in mixing, but it's not completed yet. It's not considered a finished product. So it has to leave one work in process account and go into the next. So the first requirement is to calculate the costs that are transferred out of each department, and then we're going to prepare those journal entries to reflect those costs. So mixing is our first department. So we had $825,000 that we put into production for materials. It cost us $120,000 in labor, and we applied $225,000 in our overhead. So in the mixing department, it cost us $1,170,000 just to do the mixing component for this cereal. It has to leave the mixing department, so it's done in the mixing department. It's not a completed product, so I can't sell it yet. It has to now be moved into the cooking department. So those costs don't go away. So when our product leaves one department and goes to the next, all of that work that we did in the mixing department and all the cost associated with getting it completed in the mixing department has to move into that next department. So we transfer in everything that we've mixed that cost us $1,170,000, and then we add in more costs. So we add in more materials, we incur more labor, and we apply out more overhead. So now, after it's gone through 2 different processes, it's now cost us $1,707,000. It's still not a completed product. I still can't sell it just because it's mixed and cooked. I now have to take all of that product and move it into the packaging department. So, cost transferred in, it's transferring out of the cooking department and into the packaging department. When it gets to the packaging department, we add another $330,000 in materials, another $180,000 in labor, and another $325,500 in applied overhead. So finally, at the end, once we've done all 3 steps, in total, it has cost us $2,549,500 in order to create our product. So again, it's kind of this rolling ball. It leaves one department and moves to the next. So we need to journalize our entries. So in the first one, we're going to be transferring it out of the mixing department and putting it into the cooking department. So we have work in process, which we know is an inventory account, so we want it to increase. So we're going to debit it, and it's going to be for your cooking. And we're going to transfer out 1.17 in terms of cost, and we're going to reduce our work in process inventory account from mixing. It's going down by that same amount. It's leaving one work in process account and going to the next. We now have to have it leave the work in process cooking account and go into the work in process packaging account. So we are transferring that $1.7 million into the packaging, and it's leaving our work in process from the cooking. Finally, when we get to packaging and we've done everything and it's now a completed product, it has to leave work in process in total. It's now going to be a finished good. So it's got to go into our finished goods inventory for the total cost that it cost us to produce those 250,000 boxes. And again, it had to go through 3 different steps to get to becoming a finished good. And it has to leave our work in process packaging account. So remember, with the manufacturing, we have 3 different levels of inventory. We have raw materials, work in process, and finished goods. And when we're dealing with process costing, each department or each step in that process has their own work in process account.